Good morning, YouTube. It is 10 a.m. in the great state of Texas, and we are doing a non-epoxy project today. We are going to take this piece of plywood. You ever just move homes one day and then you come into your garage and realize that there's a board that somehow appeared and you don't know where it came from? That's exactly what this board is. And I've had it in the corner and decided, you know what, it's been a while since we've done like an all-wood project, and I've worked with plywood maybe in the past. I can't recall nor remember. So what we're gonna do is do like a large bowl here, glue it up, cut it up, and try to make something decent and nice out of it. So I took my 5-quart bucket, made some circles, and now we're just gonna use the table saw and get everything cut down the way we want to. And here I am adjusting it, trying to get to that nice level where we need to be. And every time I use the table saw, I freak out a little bit. So here we go, getting everything cut nice and neat using that push stick, and obviously it flopped over and it did not cut the way. So I just went back and fixed it. So here we are. Now we're just going to use the miter saw, get everything cut down the way that we want to. Coming back and forth, having to obviously flip the board back and forth until we get everything cut up, because I don't have the tools to cut that evenly like that. So this is what we're going to have to do. So hey, maybe one day I'll have a bigger shop with better tools, but I like what I got so far. So my favorite part about doing this project is the glue up. Everybody loves a good glue up project. I haven't done this in a long time, so don't be stingy with your glue when you do this. So when you do these boards like this, be very copious with the glue, if I can tell you any piece of advice. And like I said, I'm a pretty novice woodworker, so that's saying something. So once we get everything glued up, now we're just going to get a genuine, I can't say that word. We're going to put a good layer on it. And then we're going to take every clamp that I have in my garage and clamp everything up nice and neat. You can see that glue pushing out, which is always good. So I actually had this in the garage for like weeks before I went back and got to it. I did some other projects in the garage, so went from it being really nice outside to not needing a coat to it's freezing, and now I need to wear like 15 different layers. So just taking the miter saw and getting everything cut down into like a relative cylindrical shape, because the problem with this is that it's so large that I need it to cut off these corners just so I could fit it on the lathe and get it spun down. So that's essentially what we're doing. So that's where the miter saw obviously comes in, and we're just flipping this, trying to get as close to the edge as possible. I did this sometime between January and February. I'm actually doing the commentary here in March, and then you guys are probably watching this in the summer of 2022, somewhere in July probably. So once we got everything cut down, now all we're going to do is take that faceplate, put that on there, and like I said, it's important not to, push the actual faceplate all the way down. You just want to get the screws in far enough to where everything is nice and even, and then you can, put all the screws into the actual piece of wood itself. So pretty large project here that we're working with. It's obviously uneven, and you're going to see here in a bit, there's going to be a lot of wobble. So I'm actually putting my hip up against the workbench, because I'm getting so much shaking on there that it's actually vibrating off of the actual table itself. Even though I got the lathe clamp down, you're still getting a ton of vibration. So I'm essentially pushing my hip up against the table there just to balance everything out. And we're using the large carbide tool, coming back and forth between the bowl gouge and the actual round carbide tool, trying to get everything down as even as possible. So working with plywood, it's obviously different types of wood. So it's going to have a pretty good aesthetic to it, but it's a little wonky to work with the chisels, because it's just different types of pine, I believe, and just, wood left over. I mean, that's all plywood is. It's just different types of woods stuck together. So getting everything into that nice cylindrical shape, obviously still had a little bit of a gap there, so we're just having to come back and just peel the layers off of it. Once I got into a nice cylindrical shape, then we can start working the bottom. And you can already see the layers coming off on it, which is really, really cool. It's like a gobstopper, the different layers that you're working with. The bad part about it is you get a little bit of a chip out, only because the layers start to become a little bit uneven, and that's where the sanding comes in, which is so important. And I love sanding. Oh, I hate sanding. But here we are, getting everything nice and even, pretty much into the shape that we want it to now. And now we're just like working that layer off, and I'm coming back and forth on it. And now we're going to start turning down a mortise. So coming back, initially hit it with the round carbide tool. like if you've seen some of my other videos that I've done in the past, I usually use the smaller chisels, but this was such a large piece that I just came back and hit it with the regular sizes there. And now we got the chuck to where we want it to, and now we can start the actual gouging portion of it. And I believe, from what I can remember, because I haven't done the commentary on this one in months, I believe it went relatively easy. This is a little bit of a shorter video for a larger project like this. Not a whole lot of issues. It's just kind of tedious taking down these different kinds of layers. And it's a little bit thicker bowl than I'm used to. Usually I'll do like real thin side panels or thin lips of the bowl. But on this one, the plywood was kind of shattering at different parts of it because it is different layers that have just been pressed together. So I thought for the actual integrity of the bowl, having it be a little bit larger on the sides was kind of important for this one. So coming back, hitting it with different chisels, we're using obviously the larger bowl gouge, using the square and round carbide tools. Like I said, when you're working with different layers like this, even though this is the same piece of plywood, the way it reacts on the chisels is a lot different. So you just have to be really careful when you're doing these kinds of projects, because it will tend to run away from you, and then, you know, one slip of the chisel and then the thing shatters. Go back and watch some of my old videos that I used to do, like when I first got into woodworking. I mean, my first year, things shattered on me all of the time. So be very, very careful. So here we are. Now we're just working the side lip of the bowl for the most part, trying to decide how deep we want to go with it, obviously. And by now I've kind of like realized like this is, you know, kind of where I want it to be as far as like size wise. And now we're just being really careful as much as possible. You can see a lot of sideways action on the actual chisel. Instead of coming at it directly forward, we're just, you know, using the side of it, using the side edge of that carbide tool to kind of just work down the material as much as possible. And I really didn't get any real good shavings. This is mostly just dust coming off of it, so you'll see that at the end a little bit. So here we are. Now we're just working the side edges of the bowl, like different layers, obviously, so a little bit of an issue. Coming back, just working the lip the way that we want to. And you can see there, the lip of the bowl is actually a lot thicker than a majority of my projects. So here's the sanding portion of it, because we love sanding on this channel. Went all the way from, I think we went from 80 grit, maybe 120, and then we worked all the way up to maybe 320, possibly. I know we didn't do any wet sanding on this one. We just did enough just to where we could just take that layer off. And it's kind of gunky. You can kind of see it. But once you put the wood wax on there, it really makes that, you know, pop. And you get to see all the different grains and colors and aesthetic of the bowl overall. So don't be stingy with your wood wax when you're waxing these things up. So overall, aesthetically pleasing, not so much, but you kind of get these cool layers in it overall. So I would say project went relatively well. Probably my favorite part is the glue up. And here it is at the end, got everything nice and polished. And you can see the different layers in there, which makes it kind of cool, but it was still kind of a pain in the ass to work with. But overall, I hope you guys got something out of it. You know, something different than just doing our typical epoxy bowl projects. But overall, really liked how this turned out. I didn't lose any fingers, so that's always a good thing. So hope you guys liked the project. Hope you got something out of it. There it is at the end. You can see the different layers. You can kind of see the dimples in it too. I was like, ugh. But overall, really happy. Another fun project. So don't forget to subscribe, like the video, all that good stuff. Leave a comment. And I guess I'll see you guys in the next project. All right, guys. Peace. Okay, so project is done. Check this guy out. Huge. A lot of rocking on the lathe on this one. But we managed to get it done. I thought we were going to have a catastrophic failure of the mortise here. But learned from all of my mistakes and just took it really easy. The gouging part wasn't too fun. But overall, we got a good aesthetic once we did the sanding. You can see just those different layers of this plywood. So just, you know, a board we had left over in the garage, and we had to do something with it because we don't waste wood on this channel. Even though it, you know, it's just a basic bowl, it still turned out really cool. I still like the way it looks. But overall, really happy with it. We're probably going to do some bowls like this in the future, of course, because that's what we like to do. So hope you liked it. Hope you got something out of it. Today is January 8th of 2022. You guys are probably watching this in the summer of 2022, somewhere around there. So it's freezing cold. Got the sunglasses on. Don't know why. But anyway, hope you liked it. Hope you got something out of it. And I'll see you guys in the next project. Don't forget to subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.